I have a couple of questions actually for you, if you don't mind answering them.
Of course.
Um, so Wes Weaver asked earlier in the podcast, I really want to know if you guys think they're good enough without making a move or making a trade to get out of the first round right now.
You got out of the first round?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes. If they can't get out of the first round right now as constructed, so like let's look at the standings as of today. They would more than likely be playing so currently in the play-in tournament is the Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, and Atlanta Hawks. Okay. More than likely they'd be playing against Miami or Orlando if we're just being realistic. If they can't beat one of those teams right now in the first round as of today, we've got problems. I mean, Miami of the two, I'd probably feel a little like not as great about drawing Miami just because of how consistent they play and the culture they have. Norm Powell's phenomenal. But even then, they haven't been very good. Excuse me. So, like, I just based off of today, the first round, absolutely. I think my question is more so, can they get out of the conference finals with this roster as of today? That's what we're talking about when it comes to the trade deadline. If they don't get out of the first round with this roster as constructed, I think we would all agree something's gone horribly wrong.
I honestly like the one team I would hate to see in the first round is Orlando. I don't want to see the Orlando Magic in the first round if I'm a Piston fan. Orlando is just a really tough defensive long team. Now, obviously, they've not had the best health the past 2 seasons, but, like, I would not wanna see the Magic in the first round. For whatever reason, those games are just complete chaos. They go down to the wire. That would be a first round series where you would feel it. You would have bruises, bumps. It would be a physical battle. I would not wanna see the Orlando Magic. I hope they get their shit together and they're a top 6 team, and maybe you see them in the conference finals. I just don't wanna see them right now, man. Like, I would not wanna deal with all of their lengthy defenders. Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to match up with Franz? Paulo has just been completely abysmal. It kind of feels like,
And that's why I'm kind of more glass half empty on them right now, which is weird because like
yeah,
I've been a loud Paulo supporter coming into this year. And, I really thought that they were going to take a big step, but I thought in part of that was because Paulo was going to take that next step. I thought he was going to look closer to how he looked before the hip injuries last year. But in reality,
mhm.
it hasn't materialized. And, even just like some of the, like, they keep going out and trying to get like a singular 3-point shooter to fix their spacing issues. And
Yeah.
it's just not how that works. And like I definitely think if you're just talking about like how teams would match up, and especially if you're just kind of looking at like the talent, like on on board, Orlando is definitely the team that you probably would want to see the least. I'm just throwing in like the coaching aspect and
Oh
just the
yeah.
fact like Miami just no matter what, they always just seem to find a way to overachieve whatever our expectations are for them. So they're like the perfect type of team where they would be the perfect team to operate under the we've got nothing to lose type of scenario, because that's just kind of how they operate all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would with Miami, which I'm not in a place where I fear their pace because the
Yep.
last time we played them, they run up and down the court, and our transition defense sometimes isn't the best. Miami would have a bunch of different problems in itself. Like, is Spo actually going to use Khalil Ware like the way he's supposed to be used? Like, if they like employ like a double big lineup and actually use Khalil Ware like match size for size, like you'd probably have to uh, go like Jalen Durant, Isaiah Stewart. I don't think you could get away with the Tobias Harris because they'll just crash the glass and they'll out rebound you. And you mentioned Norman Powell, like when he's got it going from three, it could be an absolute nightmare. We've seen Tyler Hero to shoot them back into games. When he gets it going, obviously he's kind of like struggled with like this new like offense that they're running, not a lot of pick and rolls, just like
Yep.
moving the ball side to side. But Miami would definitely be a team that I wouldn't want to see in the play-in tournament or in the first round either, just because the way that they've coached, the way, like you mentioned, their culture, like that would just be a very difficult first round series. It would probably go a good 6 to 7 games.
All right. This might be a little bit of a reach.
Okay.
But based off today, would you rather see the Knicks or the Sixers in the playoffs?
Ooh.
Because as ridiculous as that might sound on surface, like people might be like I'd rather see the Sixers. What are you talking about? Like Tyrese Maxey has been incredible this year. VJ Edgecombe is one of my favorite rookies in a long time. And the construction that they have low key looked really good
Yeah.
at points this year. It hasn't been perfect, but it's like when Embiid's available and playing well, and Paul George essentially just has turned into like what Tobias was for them at his best. Personally, and again, as of today, I'm a little more scared of the Sixers at the moment than I am the Knicks.
I think when you talk about both of those teams, the question I would have is Karl Anthony Towns still on this team after the deadline?
Yep.
If he's not, I think I would be a little bit more confident in matching up with the Knicks because I thought the games that Jalen Brunson had were incredible, but some of the shots that Cat was making in that playoff series, especially the elimination game, man, he was just going crazy. But Mike Brown doesn't really use him the same way as Tom Thibodeau did, which it's kind of puzzling to me. You have one of the better stretch fives in the NBA. You're not really like doing any type of pick and pops with him. That's the question I would have. To your Sixers conversation, if Paul George and Joel Embiid are right on top of Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and Kelly Oubre, I probably would want to see the Knicks more than I would the 76ers. And it's health dependent. It really
Yeah.
is. Like Embiid has played better. He's been playing in more games. Paul George has playoff experience, but the Sixers are a team, especially with Tyrese Maxey. Like we've seen the guy score 30 points in his sleep. That would be a team that would be very difficult to match up in the first round. But I would say in terms of like coaching and schematics, take your poison, Nick Nurse or Mike Brown. Like take your poison. Like I think Mike Brown has more experience. If Philly's bought into Nick Nurse and his craziness, they could be a really big problem come playoff time.
But Nick Nurse has won a title as a coach.
But he had Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. That doesn't help my argument, Anthony.
I know. Like the 76ers they'll be a problem if they stay healthy. I would rather see the Knicks, but it's dependent on what happens with Cat. Like, is Cat going to the Orlando Magic, Sean?
I have a hard time for seeing the Knicks being able to move Cat right now, especially when you figure the fact that like they're gonna have to like match money and they're gonna ultimately have to get someone back that like they're gonna be happy with. And I think with Dolan coming out and pretty much saying the day that they played the Pistons that they expect this team to make the finals and to win it, I just have a hard time for seeing them doing that unless that somehow gets them Giannis, which I just don't see a scenario where he ends up as a Knick. Unless it's like this 3 or 4 or 5 team trade with all these mechanisms and all these things being sent back and forth. But those trades are just so hard to make in this modern NBA. I mean, the Kevin Durant trade, that it took like 2 months to complete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like a 15-team trade, it felt like.
Yeah, it was like it literally was like a 6 or 7 team trade.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the longest trade in NBA history.
Yeah.
Like, you go on Basketball Reference and see how many like players and draft picks went out in that trade, man. It's honestly absurd. I talked to a Houston Rockets content creator.
17 deal.
Yeah, Brando, he told me, like, how crazy it was, like, he was trying to track it. He was like, "Yeah, man, it was like a 7-team trade." It's like, it took, like, until after the NBA draft to complete. Like, it was crazy.
Hold on. Rockets get Kevin Durant, Clint Capella, Suns get Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Kamal Malawak, Rasheer Fleming, like this is literally like not even halfway through this 17 trade. It's wild.
Yeah, it's honestly kinda crazy when you kinda look at that, but yeah, man, it all depends, like, you see, like, the Rich Paul try to get AD out of, Dallas, you see the cat rumors, um, it would just be poetic justice if the Pistons got Mike Brown fired again. Like, could you imagine?
Jaden Ivey just hits another ridiculous game winner, and James Dolan's like, I had it.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how, these Eastern Conference standings shake out. Who's going to be in the play-in. Um, you know, I'm pretty sure this team as constructed could get out of the first round.
Yeah,
Um, I just expect them to make moves. I expect them to address three-point shooting and possibly playmaking, if they want to. I don't think they're just going to sit on their hands and do absolutely nothing. Like, I fully
right.
expect that trade exception to be used. I fully expect Trajan to do his due diligence and improve this roster. He did it last year. Obviously, he waited for the perfect opportunity just to swoop up Dennis Schroeder and say, "Hey, how's KJ Martin in a second that we got for free from Philly?"
Yeah,
Like, I think that's the type of moves that he's probably going to be kind of looking for, and not spending any type of premium like draft capital or assets or like going into their cap space going into the following season. I think they'll be really smart in the way they approach the deadline.
for sure. Because the thing I would throw out there is if you go and look at all the big trades that have happened over the last few years, I'd argue the majority of those teams regret them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, you don't want. I feel like we've kind of had like a trend where most teams now don't make big trades until the offseason. You just mentioned like Kevin Durant. Like, I think the one move that everyone's just like, oh, we have to keep pace with Orlando was Desmond Bain. Like Desmond Bain went for a haul. You don't really. I haven't really seen like an in-season trade outside of the Luka Doncic trade last year, but
Yeah.
that one was just kind of like a one-on-one trade by itself, where it was like a
Even then, do you think
actual big move.
Orlando's excited that they gave up 4 first round picks for this group?
No, no, that team's expensive too.
Yeah, like they have legitimate like they gave Paulo the first player option in a rookie supermax ever, and he's been awful.
Yeah, I think when we were having the conversations in the summer, I said, dude, look at the contracts. Like everyone is on a huge deal. Like if that team doesn't at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're gonna have to retool and blow it up and try to build around Franz, build around Paulo, Jalen Suggs could get dealt. Maybe they trade Desmond Bain, which would be ironically hilarious. Like that team's really expensive.
Am I the only one that thinks that they'd kind of be low key a perfect Tom Thibodeau place if Jamal Mosley doesn't work out there?
That or Mike Malone for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw
Either of
Pelicans
those guys, honestly.
saw Pelicans fans saying, "Let's go get Jamal Mosley if he gets fired." And I was like, "Yeah, that'll work."
Yeah, that would be great. Honestly, though, like if I'm the Pelicans, like, am I really going to be able to do a whole lot better than James Borrego?
Probably not.
Realistically,
Not right now, no. I mean, like when they were having like coaching searches, like I saw Kevin Ollie's name like kind of surface and I kind of chuckled because I remember like during the 23-24 season, like we didn't know who was going to get hired. And then like Monty Williams at like the 11th hour just kind of got hired because we just threw him like a Brinks truck. But like I remember the Kevin Alley names. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I know who that came from. Um, I do see a comment from Jay Hart. He said, I thought of a few trade names for you guys. Jeremy Grant, one-time Piston. Don't know about that. Jordan Hawkins, former Trajan Langdon draft pick. PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, Malik Monk, or Santi Aldama. I feel like all those players kind of fit into one tier, and it's like Jeremy Grant, I would say he's like an above average starter, but I don't really know if the Pistons would be in love with his contract right now.
Yeah, the money might not be great there. I thought there was something because I remember talking about PJ Washington earlier this year, and I think there might be something with his extension to where he's not trade eligible this year.
Yeah, he's not. You can't trade him.
Um, I feel like someone who I actually really like, who's similar to that from the same team is Najee Marshall.
Mhm.
If they're able to go and get him, like that's someone I really like. Santi Aldama, he's from Memphis, right? Yes, Santi.
Yeah.
He's the guy that I just hear Memphis fans call soft all the time,
Yeah.
and he's just one of those guys that I don't think in execution you would love as much as in kind of in theory. There's a lot of guys on that list I do like. Like if Jose Alvarado was an option, like I wouldn't hate that. I like Herb, like I know Herb Jones was the one that like we heard way earlier. If you can get Herb Jones for the right price, I'm all about it. But like I don't even know if I'd give up Ron Holland in a Herb Jones trade. As crazy as that sounds, like I'd be reluctant doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked at the top of the podcast, like, it could be Jaden Ivey and a couple of firsts. I really don't know why the Pistons would wanna trade for another defensive specialist. Like, obviously, the defense would be incredible. You would need a lot of wings to kinda deal with, like, the Anunobys and the Bridges and the Tatums and the Browns. Like, if you're just trying to match up with, like, elite defensive wings because you're worried about, like, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum possibly coming back in the playoffs, sure. But I think this team needs more of an offensive threat to really thrive in the playoffs. Like you
Yeah.
can have, the number one defensive rating in the month of January, like the Pistons have right now, but you really need more offensive talent, more 3-point shooters, more floor spacers. Because if
Yep.
you have more floor spacers, I think it'll just open up like what we saw last year with like Tim and Malik. I think just adding another 3-point shooter, you could see a similar type of just vibe and feel offensively in the half court where, K doesn't have to have 3 to 4 guys on him all the time. He'll be more open for threes.
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan Hawkins, I know Trajan Langdon, like he said that was like the best shooter that he ever scouted and drafted, but like he's kind of been up and down throughout his career. Um,
Mhm.
Trey Murphy, I feel like is a wish list. That's a wish list for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's a wish list. It's also someone where it's like talk about being able to get him at a good price. Like, is Trey Murphy perhaps the most like when you talk about like the demand, like is it almost too high? Like is it almost like maybe like the most like overpriced player where you talk about like from a because it's almost like a level where it's like it's not even worth pulling the trigger. Like and he brings a lot of great things to the table. So I'm not trying to like talk down on him, but it's like is any team truly going to feel great if they give up like 3 first round picks and another young player to go get Trey Murphy?
I think the value with the picks is because of his contract,
Right.
and it's like cost control. Like he's not a player like we mentioned like Jaren Jackson Jr. Like he's 35 million this year, but he just signed a $205 million contract where he's going to be making 50 plus million for the next couple of seasons. Like Trey Murphy's at a $25 million contract. I think that's why it's valuable. And I think that's why a lot of front office executives think that New Orleans wants multiple first round picks. I saw a report today that they're going into this deadline looking to make some major roster changes, whether that's Zion Williamson, whether that's Herb Jones. I saw Jose Alvarado was mentioned to the Pistons, which I don't really fully understand because you have a Danish Jenkins at home.
Yeah.
Um, but I understand the asking price for Trey Murphy. I just don't think the Pelicans are going to get it. Like you could say, I want 3 firsts, and you could say, hey, I'll give you like a first in this young player. They might consider trading Trey Murphy. I know as soon as we played the Pelicans, and Trey did not have a good game, Pistons fans were like, why would I want that bum? I was like, well, Sarr had him in a blender. Like, if
Yeah.
we're being like realistic,
Yeah.
like not too many teams having a Sarr Thompson on their team.
It's like the guy that goes to Pawn Stars and doesn't look like he's willing to negotiate. It's like, all right, well then why did you come here and waste our time then? You,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, if you're just gonna come out and set this outlandish price, we're just gonna do this song and dance every year. It's like, is Trey Murphy just gonna be perpetually overpriced for the rest of his career?
I think
But to your point, though, like again, bringing it back to the contract, that's where it does become such a big thing. That's why guys like, like we talk about, like, is Karl Anthony Towns, like, is he even tradable at that money? That's why, like, an Anthony Davis is so hard to even have a conversation about moving him at that money. That's why Trey Young essentially just got the Andre Drummond treatment on the trade market, is because of his money.
yeah, the this new CBA is so weird, especially with players on, like, bigger deals. It's so hard to move them. Like, the Trey Young, like, the fact that they got him for a CJ McCollum and a Corey Kispert and no draft picks involved. Like, 5 years ago, Trey Young would have been, like, traded for multiple first round picks, and
Yeah.
Atlanta fans would be so happy. But the writing was kind of on the wall when he did get extended, but
Yeah, at one point I thought I saw that, like, that they could have gotten like Emmanuel quickly and picks.
yeah, they said no.
Yeah. And then now instead, the centerpiece is Corey Kispert and an expiring CJ McCollum. Like, great.
Yeah, that's
You,
why
you got a
it's like
backup too. Congrats.
I will say that the team that I think that really ruined the market for a lot of other organizations is the Brooklyn Nets and what they got from Mikal Bridges from the New York
Mm-hmm.
Knicks. Because I think a lot of teams saying like, "Oh, we want a Mikal Bridges type of deal for like a Trey Murphy," and it's just like, "Well, that's just not going to happen." And they're like, "Well, we're not going to trade him because we're not getting serious offers." I'm like, "Well, you're not going to get 3, 4 first round picks when I think draft picks have even more of a premium right now when you're trying to build a team in this CBA apron type of NBA league that we have right now."
And people don't realize that trade only happened that way because the Knicks and the Nets hate each other. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was their first trade in like 60 years or something crazy like that. And the only reason the trade even happened is because they paid a crazy premium because they played, because of obviously because of Mikhail's experience with Brunson and those guys in college. Like, that is the only reason that deal is as expensive as it was, is because those two teams hated each other and or within the city. Like, we're not going to see a trade that crazy for that type of player again. At least not for a long time.
Yeah, like it just gets to a point where it's like I think a lot of organizations see like the multiple first and they want that same type of value when you're not going to get that same type of value. I think that's why like 2 first for Herb Jones. Like I like Herb Jones as a defender, but he's not worth 2 first round picks. He's
No.
just not. It's just not. Maybe like a late first, and that's what the Pistons first would be. They're currently sitting at the 29th overall pick right now. Like
If you could get Herb Jones for Ivy in a first, maybe a second, like, that's a conversation I'm willing to have.
shit,
Anything.
I would sell the Marcus Sasser really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know. You never know. But someone asked about John Collins. He's on an expiring like 26, $27 million contract. I would say if the Clippers were still playing like dog shit, yes, but I think they really want to go all in and try to push for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, Kawhi's actually played this year, which is kind of weird. But maybe he's playing more considering like what's going on. I mean, hopefully they aspire to make the playoffs, Sean.
I mean, yeah, they have some aspirations, that's for sure. Whether it's playoff time or Apple time, they'll be ready to go.
It's always Apple time when you got a cheeseburger.
Every day is Apple time.
Clay Thompson. I saw that kind of floated out by Kevin O'Connor, and like I don't hate the idea of Clay Thompson. I think the only thing where it kind of becomes difficult is like, are you asking Clay Thompson to start over Duncan? Are you asking him just to come off the bench, which I don't really think he's particularly keen of coming off the bench. I know they benched him in Dallas, and it was like a whole thing where,
I don't think
he
there's a player who's pouted more publicly in the history of the league about being benched than Klay Thompson.
yeah, I mean, like, he's kinda having, like to say he's having a bounce back year isn't, like, really something to brag about because, like, when you talk about Klay Thompson, like, you think about the Golden State Warriors and just, like, the two-way star that he was next to Steph Curry. Obviously, if you would just kind of like solidify a role for him of just focusing on like coming off screens and shooting threes, sure. But
Mhm.
I don't really think the organization would love the money attached that does come with Klay Thompson.
Yeah, there's also there's the money that's attached. There's also just kind of the reality of there's the noise that comes with Clay Thompson, where it's almost like, like it's almost like in other sports where it's like, okay, is it bringing it is it worth bringing in this level of star for like what they're going to be asked to do? Where it's like, because if you're bringing Clay, you're bringing in Meg the Stallion, you're bringing in the noise that comes with the coverage of Clay, and when there's bad Clay games, you bring those conversations. When there's good Clay games, you bring all that buzz. So it's almost like one of those things. Again, I'm not saying he in himself is a distraction. It's just he's one of those names where it just for what you'd be asking him to do might just not be worth all the buzz.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say that like he's not a player where we would value his 3-point shooting. I think we would. I just think like I think there's just a lot of perception with him
Yep.
um, around the league that you hear from other people. But I think there are better 3-point shooters that you could go and acquire that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg personally.
Yep.
Um, I don't know if you caught my podcast. I was a complete psycho. I did a 29 teams, 29 trade targets. And I went through
Oh,
every
you're a
team.
lunatic. I respect it.
Oh, I know, man. Like, I had some people watch it and they keep saying Rui Hachimura, because that's who I picked from the Lakers. Because everyone else in the Lakers, I'm like, ugh, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
is that a guy that you kind of look that could play power forward, can hit threes? Would that be kind of appealing, or are you good on that?
I mean, he's certainly like an interesting he's certainly like an interesting prospect, but like again, it almost is like a what are they going to want in return? And I almost like I just don't even know if that makes a whole lot of sense. Like I'm just trying to think of from the Lakers standpoint of like they need guys like they're just like an unathletic small team that struggles to defend, and he's like one of the guys that actually brings some size. And it's like if you can get it from the right price, like I think he certainly makes sense, and I think he's a really good player. I just don't know if I see the likelihood of that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and look, they obviously want defensive wings. Like they
Yeah.
need defense right now before JJ Redick gets even more gray.
Right.
He I've never seen him so stressed out. He's like they can't even comprehend a defensive play. Like I feel like I'm coaching fourth graders.
I've never seen a team that could use a Javante Green more in my entire life.
Yeah, yeah. Lakers fans like, how did the Pistons find him? What are we even doing, Rob Pelinka? Karis LeVert is a top defender. You guys are funny.
I mean, hey, if that's what they think, I mean, if there's anyone who could be tricked into believing that, it's Rob Pelinka.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the Lakers roster from top to bottom. It's just like kind of like,
Ass.
yeah, I'm good.
Uh
I'm
huh.
good. I can't believe we haven't talked about Michael Porter Jr. Where are you at on it? Because when I had you on last time, I think the temperature was pretty cold, but I've seen you kind of go back and forth
I've
on
warmed up
Twitter with
to it.
people. You've warmed up a little bit. Like, why have you warmed up to the a possible Michael Porter Jr. idea?
I mean, I've warmed up to it just because undeniably the production's just stayed like it's just been there and it's stayed there. The talent level is like, like the things that he's able to do are certainly undeniable. I think what's opened me up to it more is just the fact that it is immediately an expiring contract next year. So that if it doesn't work, it fits within kind of that way that like Trajan's already operated where it's like it's very easy to maneuver off of. It's not like a Miles Bridges where it's like a lot more of like a you have concerns off the court. And I think even then, like when you talk about some of the concerns, like like I've texted people that have worked with him, and like the biggest thing I've heard is like you'll just need someone that can be in his ear that can like keep him bought in, and like ensure that like what he's doing is the right thing. I also think it might be a little bit of an adjustment, just the shot diet and the way that he plays the game. That might be something a JB would have to adjust to as well. But I do think just because when you throw in the fact that you wouldn't really have to trade much to get him, and for like what you're getting back as far as the scoring output, and the fact that he's been able to play within the confines of a role in a championship team before. Like he checks
Mhm.
a lot of the boxes of where it makes sense, and you're still able to keep a lot of your chips, a lot of your chips from having to push in, so that if you do have to make another move down the line, you can. So it's like, to me, it's like it fits the profile of how the Pistons have operated up to this point, and I do think he's someone that can make them better.
I agree with you. I've always kind of said, like, if we're just talking about basketball and just basketball, not like the podcast and the off the court stuff that
Right.
comes with them, I think he fits a lot of boxes. Being able to score at all three levels, having a career year right now in Brooklyn. My only thing and the pushback that I've given fans that have asked about Michael Porter Jr. is like, I don't think you're getting him for a Tobias Harris and a Jaden Ivey.
Right.
Um, I just don't. I think when I look at Brooklyn, like you look at their guards, like their rookie point guard Igor Demon is having an incredible year. They also have guys that are playing in the G League right now, which I don't really understand. Like Ben Saraf is a really good defensive minded point guard. Drake Powell is a two-way wing that I think is going to develop quite nicely for them. I think they would want more wings. I think they would probably ask for a Ron Holland and a Michael Porter Jr. trade, and they should. I mean, he's
Yeah.
their best player. He scores 30 points almost on any given night, having a career high. I just don't really think the Pistons are in the mindset of giving up a young core piece like a Ron Holland for a Michael Porter Jr. trade. Now, if they can get him, cheaply without giving up too much, obviously, I think you're not going to get him just for one first round pick. It's probably going to cost you at least two first round picks just to get him away from Brooklyn. I think he'll be a little bit more pricier than people actually think.
Yep. I think so too. And if that's where the price is, I think the Pistons would be well within the right to say, hey, thanks, but no thanks. It's, again, I think it's about what you can get them for. Like if it is that deal, if it's like a Tobias, a Jaden Ivey, and like a first round pick, I think I take that deal, But once you're throwing in a Ron, it just changes the equation for me, because that's someone where you just talk about the upside. It's like, as we said before, he does everything that you can't teach, and his areas he can grow are in the areas that you can. And those are the exact type of guys that you would just hate to give up on too early, because I just like, it's imagine what Ron Holland looks like 2 years from now.
It could be a two-way forward that I think a lot of Pistons fans have been screaming for since like the Stanley Johnson days. Like
Yeah.
they've wanted a two-way forward. Even though he kind of had like a little dust up today, which I found objectively hilarious.
I
Yeah,
mean, all
Keon Ellis with the
all
flop of the
Ron
year.
Holland dust ups are objectively hilarious. They just are.
Yeah, yeah. Like Keon Ellis gets the flop of the year, in my opinion. He tripped over JB Bickerstaff's shoe and acted like he was dead. I don't know if you saw Dennis Schroeder did the same thing when Stu was laying on him and he got a technical foul. He like act
Mm.
like he killed him. I was like,
It's
bro, like,
really a
what are we
shame.
doing?
It's really a shame he waited as long as he did, because maybe Keon Ellis could have been recognized by the Academy if he just waited a few days before. But now he won't be getting that Best Actor nod.
No, that flop was funny, but I don't think the Pistons want to move on from Ron. You
No,
just you talk about the second unit, man. Like I feel like every night, if there's no energy, he's the one player that comes off the bench. Him and Isaiah Stewart, they just bring energy, and you can't teach that. Like a
throw
lot of the things,
Javante Green in that mix too. Honestly, like as much as
yeah.
like I joke around, like he's like, I just like when you just talk about like the pleasant surprises of this Pistons season. I think number one has to be Danis, but I think like Javante Green has to be in that conversation.
Yeah,
I don't think any of us thought he was going to play when he came to Detroit, or if he
no, I
did, not that much.
think a lot of people thought he was just signed just for like maybe a roster or training camp deal and then be waived at a certain
Yeah,
date. It
that's what
wasn't
I
that at
thought.
all. Yeah, he just like I said, Ron has just like so much upside because I know someone asked is like what makes Ron untradeable or untouchable. It doesn't. I'm not saying he's untouchable. I just wouldn't include him in a Michael Porter Jr. trade. I should have
Right.
said that. Like I think you can have conversations and you can get to a point where like yeah, you could put said player in like a big trade. Like if we're talking about like Giannis, like yeah, he'd probably be included in a Giannis deal, but we're not trading for Giannis. We're not
Right.
even
It
having that conversation.
it would probably start at the Jaren Jackson Jr. level. is probably where we start having that conversation a little bit more seriously. But
Yeah, yeah,
even then, I'm throwing everything else in before Ron if I can.
yeah. I mean, someone said if he develops a jump shot, look out. Oh, yeah, like exactly. Like I think some people have said like he reminds them of like a Jimmy Butler esque type of player, where like if he could average a mid range jump shot, the way he can just like score in transition, downhill, finishing around the basket. Like some of his layups, Sean, I say what the every time when he scores is just the way he can just score around the basket is incredible to me.
I'm not saying he's going to become this player, but it almost reminds me of like a young, first year or two Jalen Brown, where it's like something's clearly here,
Mhm.
but what? That's kind of like the like Jalen Brown. It's like people forget like he was really raw when he came into the league, but it was apparent that he was going to be a stud. It was just like a matter of how.
It's funny because that's his favorite player.
I know, yeah. Like honestly
Uh,
though, it's like you do see the parallels though. If you watch those guys play,
mhm.
like Ron now versus kind of like Jalen Brown year one or two, like it kind of fits.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I think he's one guy that I'm particularly high on, just in terms of just like upside, and if he does develop a jump shot, like that's the forward that the Pistons have wanted. Gary Trent or Torian Prince. Torian Prince actually played for JB Bickerstaff back in Cleveland, so might be onto something. He's actually like a really good 3-point shooter too. Him and
Yeah.
Gary Trent. Uh, Milwaukee has a lot of good 3-point shooters. Like low key, like try to see what things is like hit the rails. Like I'm calling them for AJ Green to see what's going on.
Isn't it sad how teams are just starting to circle them like sharks? It's like
Yeah.
crows flying in the air, like when they can see when they can sense that death is coming. It's like that. It feels like the vultures are all just circling the wagon that is the Milwaukee Bucks right now, and can't help but feel bad for Doc Rivers, man. Came out of
Yeah.
retirement essentially. He had the top commentating gig at ESPN. He was on pods with Bill Simmons. He was living it up. And then he
He
got
was.
into this mess.
Yeah, I'm sure Giannis probably regrets getting rid of Adrian Griffin because he had a better record.
Dude, I've told you I was like so do you remember like Adrian Griffin got fired like the day after a Pistons game?
Yeah, I remember that.
And did you remember I was front row for his pregame presser the day before he got fired?
I do.
I remember I literally like I can go back and find it. I sent people texts that day saying, I'm impressed by Adrian Griffin. I think Milwaukee has someone. And then they fired the guy not even 24 hours later.
I know. The Pistons actually had that effect last year. Players got traded or coaches got fired.
I thought it
Um,
was just me for a second because it was like
yeah.
my first year or two. There were a lot of coaches I saw got fired.
It's crazy, man. It really is. But I don't want to keep you on too much longer because we usually do like around an hour, hour and a half. I feel like we could just like host a radio show every day because we could just like talk about the dumbest shit. But that's why I love having you on.
Absolutely.
That's why I love having you on, man. You're always like a good guest and friend of the show, and people love you. But I want to give you the floor to plug and promote where people can find your work, where they can follow you on social media, which you definitely should because Sean is like a low key troll. Like he just loves
I don't
trolling people.
try to be. I don't try. I just somehow find ways to piss off the entire state of Texas unintentionally. Okay. It just happens.
Oh
But
man, you're going state by state. You did North Carolina at the start of the season.
dude, it's crazy. Even like we started that tweet was at 12,000 likes when we started the pod. It's at 14 now. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Sean Half Court. That's where a lot of the game analysis and some of like the questions, Q&As and stuff happen. But also you can find the podcast from Half Court on YouTube. Pretty much any podcast platform you like, but YouTube is the main place. So definitely be sure to go and check that out. And yeah, man, thanks again for having me. You know, I always love coming on the show. So yeah, always a good time.
Yeah, it's always fun when I have you on. I feel like this was probably one of the more controlled podcasts where we didn't go off the rails, surprisingly.
Shockingly,
I know. Usually when we have a podcast, we're off the rails in like 30 seconds.
dude, whenever we do a pod, there ain't even any rails. They're not even there. They weren't even built.
You know what I think the culprit is? Eric's not here, so we're not screwing around. Maybe it's
Yeah,
Eric.
there's no Derek White Photoshop around the horizon to get us laughing like schoolgirls.
Shout out to Eric, man. But appreciate all you guys tuning in on this Sunday. Pistons play 4 times next week. They got a little mini West Coast trip. Looks like they're going to be playing the Denver Nuggets. Hopefully Jokic doesn't come back then, but that would just be the Pistons' luck, wouldn't it?
It really would. It really
Uh,
would.
Looks like they got Phoenix, which Phoenix is going to be a tough game. Don't know if Devin Booker's going to play. Looks like he rolled his ankle a couple of games ago. Maybe they can not see Devin Booker twice this year. Golden State Warriors, man, didn't even touch on Jimmy Butler and him getting injured. So that'll be an interesting game. Golden State's always a really tough place to play. And then they finish off a West Coast trip and then coming back at home. That's diabolical, NBA. Playing the Brooklyn Nets on February 1st. So we got 4 games next week. We'll have 4 post-game podcasts for you guys, but hope you guys are enjoying that weekend. Staying warm, staying safe. Peace, you guys.
Go Pistons.